The music industry is one of the places where innovations in marketing and creative ideas are really thriving, and they're really encouraged. So in a previous video, we talked about what social listening means in terms of society's collective views on a brand or a company or a topic. Now we're going to look at this in more detail. Now, I'd like to give some examples from the music industry where this has been used really effectively. One example comes from the musical artist called Blanks. So what he did is he shared his song construction process with his Instagram followers, and he actually got input on what he should include in his song. So first he asked his followers if they wanted a happy or a sad song. Then he asked them whether he should start out with a guitar or with keys, whether it should be fast or slow, and people ended up voting for a happy, slow song with a guitar. So he made some riffs, and then he asked them if he liked them, and they said yes. Then he went to the next part and asked about drums or bass. Then he asked which instruments to add, and his audience asked for ukulele, they asked for tambourine, and all these different instruments. And so he was listening to the audience at every step of the way in the construction of this song. And this is fascinating because it gets the audience engaged with the song in a way that they never would have if they were just listening to the whole complete end final product. It forces the audience to listen to each component, each musical instrument in the song, and to appreciate the sound that's contributed by each instrument. It also gets the audience to hear these different portions of the song repeatedly, which the repetition already gets them familiar with them before the final version of the song was even released. And this is a mentality that doesn't just have to apply to music. This applies to any sort of final form of communication. Like if you're writing a blog post, the whole ideas that are laid out within the blog post can be given to people in snippets, as social media posts or as Twitter tweets, or even as you arise at the ideas that ultimately contribute to a blog post, you could share the process of coming up with those ideas and listening and have communications with people, and that itself can shape the resulting blog post. So it's not some piece of media or post that happens in isolation. It's something that emerges through communication with people, and as a result, the people who helped you to that final process are going to be there as your fans to read that final post. They're going to be there to listen to that final song that's constructed. So one of the interesting things when Blanks started constructing his song is he asked his fans what the song lyrics should be about, and tended to find that a lot of people thought that the song would be about the end of summer, this sort of bittersweet feeling. And it's very interesting that this complex piece of art can invoke a similar meaning to different listeners, that they can all arrive at this idea that it's about the end of summer. And this is the sort of thing I talked about in a previous video. I'll have a link jump out at the top, but it's called Is a Sound Worth 1,000 Words? It's about the information that can be conveyed by complex sounds. So a similar social listening example happened with the artist Ruth B and the single Lost Boy, which got to #1 in the charts. So she was the first artist to get discovered through the platform Vine. And basically she was just hanging out and she got inspired to write a little 10-second piano piece, and she posted it on Vine and it blew up. It was shared by 10,000 people and people wanted more, but she didn't have any more. It was just what she happened to come up with while she was hanging out at home in her pajamas messing around. So based on that strong interaction with the little piece, that motivated her to go on and write the full song and put it on YouTube. And so the YouTube version blew up even more, but that wasn't the final version of the song yet either. And eventually she got picked up by a label and recorded it, and it went to #1. But it all started off at the beginning when the idea popped in her head. And that's a fascinating thing about today's society in terms of these creative ideas, is that you're actually seeing the construction of the song as it's happening. That's really amazing. Like imagine if you had the Beatles being recorded when John Lennon came up with the first lyrics to the song Imagine, when it was spontaneous like that. We don't really have that for those older artists, but we have that for today's artists, and it's a really interesting aspect of social media today. This is the second part of a 3-part series on social listening. Here we talked about how this is applied to music, adapting to your fans and to your audience. In the next part, we're going to talk about some other examples that are implied in the sort of business and the personal branding perspective. So thanks for checking out this video. Hit up the subscribe if you want to subscribe and learn more, and the bell if you want notifications, and the like if you like this, and the share if you share. And let us know in the comments if you know of any other examples of, musical artists who are doing some creative things to adapt their music to what the fans think and communicating with their fans in unique ways.